Shalom. Like to first and foremost give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who do rule well, teach this truth in all honesty and sincerity. Salutations to you brothers around the four corners of the earth that's pushing this truth, risking your life and freedom to do so in all honesty and sincerity. Wake up the hopefully elect of Israel. It's your brother Azor from the GMS St. Louis camp coming with the part 2, America's Destruction Prophesied. And I'm going to pick up where I left off with Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. And, it's been in the news about the war, and the scriptures tell us that these things have to come and these prophecies have to be fulfilled before the end comes, before the end of Esau's rulership comes. And, we at the doorstep of the end of this rulership, man. The end of our captivity, the end of world oppression. But we know we seen the strikes, America killed a high-ranking general in the Iranian government, and they retaliated, struck back. These nations are tired of this, being bullied around. And it's so ironic. Well, it's not ironic. It's just hypocritical. For the past few years in America, they've been targeting on, the anti-bullying and the cyberbullying and all this stuff, but they're the global bullies, of the world, and have been for a long time. But the Lord is stirring things up. All praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash for that. And I'll let a little bit of this video play, and I'll grab some precepts.
These young American servicemen and women are the first wave of military troops arriving in the Middle East amid the growing crisis with Iran. 3,500 strong, joining the already tens of thousands of U.S. troops in the region. Tensions flaring after a U.S. drone strike last week killed Iran's top military official, General Qasem Soleimani. In the heart of Iran, a public outpouring of grief, overwhelming the streets of its capital.
Trump made a big mistake. He killed our hero.
Cries drowned out by angry chants. Soleimani, a beloved figure in Iran, seen as standing up to the West. Now, his death and the way it was carried out, a game changer for Iran and the United States.
Mr. Trump, you don't have any right to kill him.
My colleague, Martha Raddatz, one of the few Western journalists allowed in the country.
This procession's so packed you can barely move, but the emotion is everywhere. People have a very strong message for America.
They're chanting, "Death to America." Inside the funeral service, tears from Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, weeping and praying over Soleimani's grave.
There are few figures who were held in higher esteem by the Iranian people than Mr. Soleimani. He was the man who brought back pride.
On the ground, his image everywhere. More than 1 million united in their cry for revenge.
Revenge must happen, and it is certain.
What kind of revenge do you want?
Anything.
24-year-old Hussein is a college student.
It's not a laughing matter. These other nations, man, they got a different type of spirit, but that upset them, you know. And you heard him. He said anything, you know. These people, they believe in justice. They believe in the eye for an eye. You know, they believe in a lot of the first five books of Moses. You know, a lot of the Middle Eastern countries, they live by that per se. And you know it's just more showing how prophecy is going to keep going out. They're not going to let that go, and ultimately it's the Most High that's put work in the minds of these kings and these people. These people in these positions to make things happen. The Most High is ruling their minds. Proverbs 21 tells you that. You know, but I'm gonna jump into Ezekiel chapter 35, and it's talking about the judgment of Mount Seir. And Mount Seir is a place in Russia that the Edomites used to dwell in. And Mount Seir just represents um, wherever East Edom is dwelling, you know. But beginning at the top, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. And that just means to say before it happens, you know, and say unto it, Salakia, Salakia. Children want to make noise. Um, Continuing in verse 3. And say unto it, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. So, what is all this God bless America stuff? Isn't America where these Edomites are dwelling? These E's, that will be considered Mount Seir, one of their top strongholds. The Lord is against thee. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Said thou, sit thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And these are the most bloodthirstiest people on the face of the earth, man. Their track record is just robbery, killing, stealing, bloodshed, innocent bloodshed, backstabbing, falsehood, everything wicked. So the Lord is going to make blood to pursue thee, you know, just like the old saying, you live by the sword, die by the sword. But that's straight from the Bible. He that is killed with a sword must be killed with the sword. So it's just that time. You've had a long reign. Well, not in our terms, but it's been all a blink of an eye to the Most High. and he allowed you to rule in your wickedness, so he can destroy you. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth, and I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in thy hills and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. And it goes, on to, continue about the desolation of Mount Seir, where these sleazy E's dwell. Hey, they've been doing this. I saw some information was brought out in the 236 years of America. 222 of them have been filled with war. They've been at war, and the number has, probably went up. That was a couple years ago when they did that survey, but they're a bloodthirsty nation, man. Nationality of people, and so the Lord is against them, especially because how they treated the children of Israel. Turn to the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, and this is Zechariah chapter 1, verse 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, but they helped forward the affliction. Talking about the affliction on the Israelites. Therefore thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts. And a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. But it's talking about the Lord coming back to his people and reclaiming Israel, the people, before the place. Because that place over there is going to be destroyed too. Because the heathens have defiled the Holy Land over there. And the heathen that's most at ease is these E's, man. These sleazy E's, man. They go around taking whatever they want, defaming any whoever they want, defrauding anyone they want. But the Lord has roused these other nations up now to they not taking that. The allies are falling away from America. Babylon the Great, known in the Bible, the daughter of Babylon. That great whore. It's hey man, your pride made you believe you were going to be able to just continue in your wickedness forever, man. Oppressing everything and robbing everything, people, plants, and animals. This is Obadiah chapter 1, and starting at verse 12. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah, talking about the Negroes, the so-called Negroes, in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress, because they rejoiced at us being taken down, even coming out of Egypt, they were on the other side trying to take us out. And see, this is a perpetual hatred that I read in Ezekiel. That perpetual hatred, that means never ending. They've never stopped hating us since Isaac blessed Jacob with the kingdom of heaven, and Esau got blessed with the sword. And so he's used his blessing to the best of his ability, superbly. And now it's time for our blessing to come, and they having a fit. But this is all the Lord's under his um, directors. This is his director's cut, man. That thou shouldest neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. In 70 AD, the Romans, who also are the sleazy E's, came into Jerusalem and sacked the temple. But the Lord, the Yahweh Shah told his people, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, flee into the wilderness. And that's how our people ended up into the interior parts and west coast of Africa. Blending in with those Hamites that have the same complexion. And what separates us is the law, statutes, and commandments the Lord gave us, and our customs, and really our bloodline, really, which those two, everybody come out of Noah, after the flood, but each of his sons became a different bloodline, a different nation of people. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done. It shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Said all the heathen. So every nation that's not that's not the 12 tribes of Israel. That's not the nation of Israel. Everybody else, you got something to look forward to. So you got some payback to look forward to from the Israelites, the lowly, the most downtrodden and oppressed people in the earth. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, talking about the children of Israel, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. So the Lord is going to turn everything right side up, man. You know, you can read the rest of Obadiah. Is another good book to read and see the Lord's fury with Edom, man. Something that these so-called pastors not gonna read in these churches. But I'll play a little bit more of this, and I got another video I'll jump into.
Message to America.
I'm sick. We love Americans, but look at the president.
Soleimani, a critic of the United States, taunted President Trump in a speech in 2018. Let me tell you, Mr. Trump, the gambler, know that we are near you in places that don't come to your mind. The U.S. moved to kill the revered general who commanded the elite Revolutionary Guard, proving consequential across the region. Members of the Iranian parliament chanting "Death to America." And this weekend, an ominous sign, a red flag symbolizing war, raised above an Iranian mosque.
We took action last night to stop a war. We did not.
Look at the pomp and the proudness of this fucking devil, man. To stop the war, you pouring gasoline on it. But you know, this is the Most High's movie, man, and your pride is what's ultimately gonna be your demise.
Take action to start a war.
In the face of criticism, President Trump insisted the attack was a necessary measure.
Soleimani was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel, but we caught him in the act and terminated him.
But there are questions about the administration's initial justification for the attack, just how imminent those threats were. This evening, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff telling reporters the intelligence was compelling, adding,
I got another video I want to show real quick, and I'll grab some scriptures.
America.
But yeah, those were missiles being shot off, man. You know, the Lord is bringing upon the judgment of this place, Babylon the Great, mentioned in the scriptures, and the rest of these nations that will be in the in this third world's woe, the World War III. And I'll grab a few scriptures on that. Um, man, let's go all the way back to the book of Job. Um, Job chapter 39. Um, yeah, that's this is Job chapter 39, and starting at verse 22. He mocketh at fear, and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield, and those missiles is the glittering spear. They just back in those times they didn't know what missiles were. There were no missiles, you know. So they described it the best way that they could when they saw the visions. The quiver rattled against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swallowed the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He said among the trumpets, Ha ha, and he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Doeth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Doeth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold it far off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is he. He's talking about these sleazy E's, man. Hmm. Could yeah, that's relatable. You know, wherever the slain are, there he is, man. And you know, upon research, you'll find out that they have a lot to do with a lot of the genocides and the starvation and the cutting off of resources to places, causing death in many ways. Poisoning the water, poisoning the food, poisoning the animals, the air. They poison themselves, man. Misery loves company, man. And they're going out the door, and they want everybody with them. You know, if they can't rule, then it'll be no place to live at all. There'll be no earth if it was left up to them. I'm gonna jump to the book of Nahum. Um, uh, so I can bear with me. Hang on, pages. This is the book of Nahum, chapter 3. And I'll just start at the top. And it reads, "Woe to the bloody city! It is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departed not. The noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and of the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. And there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcraft." That's talking about America, the um the great whore, Babylon the Great. You know, the well favored. Everybody wants to do business with America because it can capitalize off of the Israelites' wantingness, and make money so they can for their country and for their people, and also, it's talking about America because this place taints every other nation with the Western philosophy and the liberation of women and the so-called democracy that they try to bring everywhere. It ruins societies. Verse 5, "Behold, I am against thee, said the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock." You know, "And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? Whence shall I seek comforters for thee?" And no one is going to be caring about this place once the Lord brings the destruction. They're going to be salty and sad because they can't make no money out of this place, but they're going to be ultimately glad that this place is gone. uh Jump over to the book of Habakkuk, um chapter 3, and verse 10. I'll start. "The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lift up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation at the light of thine